always come up as wanting
right.
to move to San Antonio. So,
and that's you just, it's used as leverage to get a new, better lease on their current thing, whatever it is,
or a tax break or something in
right.
whatever city they're working on. Now, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think that we're more likely to get, even though Austin has an MLS team now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would always think that San Antonio would be more likely to get a soccer team, but I'm not sure that's the case now with Austin having one. So I think San Antonio might be a one sport town for a long time, because my second guess would be baseball, but they're going to have to build a baseball stadium because can't play it in the Alamo Dome. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Baseball on some level might make more sense because you have so many more games. I mean, and those tickets just can't be as expensive. They just can't be. So, you can go to Astros games, and I mean, they're not going to be $5, but you're not going to spend $100 for the bleachers in an Astros game, probably. So, you take your kids and, go to a 2:05 first pitch for a San Antonio baseball team. And, maybe that isn't $1,000 for your family. I don't know.
No, I agree. And build it somewhere between San Antonio and Austin, somewhere along 35.
Right.
Get folks from both places. Maybe that'll work. And Texas doesn't currently have a National League team. So maybe that's the way to go. I don't know.
Call it Tesla Stadium.
Teslas, the Teslas. My sources for this were BirminghamProSports.com, great website. Wikipedia, SanAntonioExpress.com, MySanAntonio.com, Greg Lucas piece, San Antonio owns troubled pro football history, good article. SanAntonio.culturemap.com, Jeff Pearlman's excellent Football for a Buck, the crazy rise and crazier demise of the USFL. 5 Reasons San Antonio Will Never Get the Oakland Raiders from July 31st, 2014 by Robert Rivard, SanAntonioReport.org. Because if I had to rattle off the list of most famous or most popular football teams in San Antonio, I would say Dallas, Raiders, and then the Texans. That would just be my guess off the top of my head in terms of like who people root for in that town. Does that sound about right? I mean, Raiders have always been big in San Antonio. So
yeah, I remember. I recall a lot of Raiders stuff. Definitely Cowboys country, which is why, of course, Jerry Jones would actively work against it. And I mean, when we were kids, the Oilers a little bit, but the Oilers always sort of sucked. I mean, they were never as good as the Cowboys, which is, I'm not sure why, but yeah, it's definitely Bear County is definitely Cowboys country.
Yep. And I think that the point that he didn't make, but I think at your point of your basic consumer budget that you're working with is not as much as Dallas and Houston. It just isn't. I mean, it's not. So, but we will see what happens in the future with San Antonio and professional football. That is all I have for this week.
And the whole sales pitch behind the Alamo Dome was, and I forget, was it Nelson Wolff, the mayor, when this happened? I forget, but the whole
sounds right. Yeah.
The whole issue behind why we needed that fucking stadium was that if we build it, they will come, right? That was the whole argument, that once we have the stadium, someone will surely want to come and play there. Tom Benson will move the Saints or something will happen. And then the Spurs played there for, I think, 9 or 10 seasons.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
In an absolute cavern of a space for basketball games in football stadiums are ridiculous. That is that is just comically bad. And so it's just, since the Spurs moved over to their new, I say new, probably 18-year-old facility now, or 15-year-old facility, that the Alamo Dome gets used 3 days a year.
Alamo Bowl, and then I think it's used for a couple of preseasons. It's used for concerts, and it's an awful place for concerts. I mean,
the ceiling rattles.
I've seen one show there, and it was like, I can't. It's just there's no. You need some baffling on that on that ceiling. Yeah, and it was an awful place to watch basketball. I mean, it was just
right.
So you got to take into consideration a lot of stuff, and it's it's also on the inside. It's just ugly. I mean, it's just really hideous on the inside.
Yeah. Really,
So
really crappy. The
yep.
the only other recollection I had of various names from way back when, I forget if this name came up when they were talking about names. This may have been when, I forget, this was the writers period of time, or this the USFL gunslingers consideration. Someone had mocked up a logo. For those of you that don't know, San Antonio sits in the middle of Bexar County. Bear is spelled Bexar. I have no idea what the derivation of that word is, but if you're not from there, you look at Bexar and you have no idea
You're right.
how to say it. But someone came up with the idea that the team be called the San Antonio Bears and have it be a grizzly bear for the logo, which makes no fucking sense considering we don't have bears in Central Texas. But also, the entire country is going to say Bexars.
Yeah, the Bexars.
Yeah. That's a terrible idea. So it's a good thing they didn't do that.
Yeah, because it's from Behar, right? I mean, it's the way you're actually supposed to say it. It's Behar. So
yeah, but
right?
and I forget if that's someone's name, or I forget what. Yes, I think you're right. I forget what the origin though is.
Yeah. Yep. The Behar, and you could have the mascot be Behar the bear. I mean, it's
yeah. No one would get it.
No one would get it.
All righty. Well, thank you. Good job. And you know what time it is, right?
Are we done? No, we're not done, are we?
Not done now. It's time.
I sold that. I was just jerking your chain. Yeah. Is it time for Rodney? Where's Rodney?
Here you go.
It is time for the Dream Idiots curse word of the week.
So this one is sort of an obvious one, a little bit. I'll play it for you, and then I'll give you the backstory.
A dunce cap, also variously known as a dunce hat, dunce's cap, or dunce's hat, is a pointed hat, formerly used as an article of discipline in schools in Europe and the United States.
The fabulous dunce cap, that is the central part of our the fabulous logo that you designed for us.
Right.
Hopefully you can actually understand that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So the dunce cap, by the way, if folks want the little dunce cap logo on the sticker or on a t-shirt, that's going to be on the website here very shortly. And when I looked this up, the history of the word dunce and dunce cap, I was somewhat surprised at how old it is. So guess how long ago it originated?
1600s.
Oh, even earlier than that. I was thinking it was like 100 years ago. It felt like a Roaring 20s thing. I didn't know. I wasn't sure at all. There's a guy named John Dunce Scotus. This guy is a Franciscan friar.
Oh,
Scottish Catholic
what an awful
priest.
Name!
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like so many things. Oh man.
Yeah, John Dunn Scrotum. So he died in 1308. So this is this came out in the 1200s. So 13th century, long ass time ago. But the origin of the dunce cap later on, not until like the 1830s, did it become associated with basically making fun of people and making them the dimwit or the fool. When it was originated, the dunce cap was basically the same thing as a thinking cap. For some reason, this guy came up with the idea that having basically a conical hat on your head would somehow stimulate the brain. And so if you were, lagging behind in class and not doing well, they would put the dunce cap on you so you would improve. It seems unlikely that there's much evidence that it actually did, but then so it was used in this capacity for years and years and years, and then not until 1833 is it actually referenced as being basically a synonym for fool or dimwit, and then the dunce cap was basically then used as a tool of mockery to punish the kid who screwed up or had to go sit in the corner with the dunce cap on. So much older term than I ever could have possibly thought. And there actually is a similar version of the dunce cap in Spain called the capirote, which was prescribed for sinners and penitents to wear. I'm not quite sure what sin you would have had to have committed in order to have to wear the sin
thoughts.
hat.
Evil thoughts.
So it was during the Inquisition, it was the rack, or it was wear this hat. I don't know. So there you go.
I'll take the hat, please.
I'll take the hat every time.
So was the cone? Was it lined with anything like copper, or was it just the shape of it would help focus thoughts into your brain? It was just the shape.
I do genuinely think it was just the shape. It appears as though it was almost always just made out of paper, at least until more or less modern times. In modern times, it became more of an actual hat or something that was like made out of aluminum or something metal. It was just paper though, so it didn't weigh anything, because a teacher would just take whatever paper was at hand and fashion a quick cap and stick it on your head. Okay. And so but 800 years ago, they were kind of stupid. They didn't really know what was going on.
Two quick thoughts on that. I had a history teacher in middle school who had a rock desk, and it was a little desk next to his desk. It had a big rock on it. Mm-hmm. And he would take people, if they had done something spectacularly stupid in class, he would put you at the rock desk, because he would want you to think about the rock, because the rock at that point was smarter than you. And so he would make you sit at the rock desk. And one day we had this quiz, and I don't know, a good third of the class, it was like a 5-question quiz. A good third of the class missed like 3 questions. And he said, so I'm just going to pick somebody at random to sit here. Franklin, get up here. I was like, oh God. He didn't even pause. It was like, get up here. You're at the rock desk today. And I had to sit at the rock desk and just think about my pal, the Rock, all day, focusing the Q rays on my brain. Second thought about the dunce cap is, I believe there's a phrase called the dunsel in sailing that is, it's a tool or an item which serves no useful purpose. Oh, and I wonder if that's related to.
Yeah, same derivation probably.
I think it's spelled Dunsel. I'll have to look it up. Maybe after the show, I'll look it up and do another report on it. But it is interesting that one, it comes from so long ago, and two, it seems to be just a spur of the moment thing where he just kind of fashioned this cap out of nothing and popped it on someone's head. So interesting. Right. Okay. Right. The dunce cap.
Yeah. There you go. All righty. I am up here. And I have something. I'm very reluctant to get into stories that are about crime, because there are 3 million podcasts about crime, and there are tons of them out there. You and I both listen to a few of them, and those podcasts do a much better job of dealing with crime than I would ever hope to do. This is one case that I thought was, I wouldn't go so far as to say funny, but just sort of interesting in some of its details. It's not funny that people were hurt or killed, but you'll see why. So in 1993, we were headed to a town called Idar Oberstein. This is in the very western part of Germany, very close to Luxembourg and close to sort of the northern border of France. A woman named Lieselotte Schlenger. She's 62 years old, and she must have had at least a good morning. Someone had delivered her a bouquet of flowers either that day or maybe the day before. But she is found dead in her house, and she had been strangled by the wire off the flowers.
All right. Now, wait a minute. What was her last name?
Schlenger. Schlenger.
And what was the town?
Idar, ADAR - Oberstein.
So she was one of the Idar slingers? Yes. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I need your fucking with me.
No, not the Idar slingers.
So this poor woman meets her end in an awful way. There are 0 witnesses, and there are no suspects. No one heard a damn thing, and there's no suspicious activity whatsoever. besides the fact that there's a dead body on the floor. And the one thing that they find